Hey viewers, this is a one-piece crank setup, and this type of setup is called Ashtabula and was found on older American bikes like Schwinn's, Huffy's, Ross's, things like that. And one of the questions I get periodically from viewers is how to convert this to a more modern style three-piece crank setup. And something like that uses like a square taper type bottom bracket. This is like a cartridge style. And you can see that the larger diameter bottom bracket shell here, and these cups are like pressed in, so it's not even threaded. And this is a smaller diameter, so you obviously just can't screw this in or anything like that. But it is possible to update these bottom bracket things to fit these using some adapters. These are like little cups that will be pressed in, and then they're threaded on the inside to fit more modern style bottom brackets like this. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to install these, and so it'll allow a more modern style three-piece crank setup on an older bike like this. Okay, before I can install the new setup, I need to remove the old setup here. So I'm going to start off by removing the non-drive side pedal here. There. Yeah, I don't think that's been off for a while. Okay, now I need to remove this little lock nut here, and there's a little adjuster part behind that. And so I've been hitting this with a little bit of penetrating oil in there, trying to get it loosened up in there because it looks like it's been on there for a very long time. And so I'm going to unscrew this, and this is left-hand threaded, I believe, so turn it clockwise. Oh, that's turning, but both parts are kind of coming off at the same time, so not a big issue as long as they both come off. Oh, there's the lock nut broke loose there. And so get this off of here like this. And so then slide that off. And then there's a little washer here. And then that comes off. And so now this little part back here, I need to unscrew this, and then this just unscrews clockwise as well. And there's little notches in there that I can use to unscrew this. And then this just slides off like this. And then there's some bearings in here. I'll pull the bearings out like that. Now I'm back over the drive side here, so I'm going to pull this chain off and put that there. And then the bearings came out there, so I want the bearings to actually come out of the shell like that. And then I could just pull this out like that. So now I have this whole crank set out like that. Now these cups here are actually pressed into the bottom bracket shell. And so what I'm going to do is knock them out. What I use is like a steel bar of some sort. And I can hammer it in and kind of move them out a little bit here. So like hit it on the bottom, hit it on the top, and kind of get moving out. There's one out. And then I'm going to work on getting the other one out here. So I'm going to hit it on the bottom, hit it on the top, back side. And I got that out. And I'm going to clean up inside the shell and around the shell here while I have everything off and get it all cleaned up with a little bit of degreaser, and there's a little bit of rust inside in there, so I'm just going to clean everything up around here. Now, a problem that you're likely to run into is that the inside of the bottom bracket shell is not going to be smooth. There might be stuff in there, mounted in there. On this particular one, about 10 millimeters in from the edge, there's like slight rise, and that goes all the way around. It's on both sides. And that can be an issue when I go to put the adapters in. Now on the original cups, that little lip in there was not an issue. Here's one of the original cups, and see right from this little edge here, it kind of comes in flat to about 8 millimeters, and then it starts curving down. So that when this is pressed in, this will never hit that little lip in there. But here's one of the new adapters, and it's actually much deeper. It is almost about 15 millimeters deep, and it comes out straight, probably about 9 or 10 millimeters, and then there's a very slight angle kind of coming in here, but not enough to keep it from hitting that little lip. So my choices are to either go in with a Dremel tool and kind of smooth that down a little bit in there, just like 3, 4, 5 millimeters in, and this is on both sides like this, or I can modify the adapter and kind of just bevel the edge down around a little bit so that when I go to press this in, that it's not going to go in and hit that little lip. So it's about 6 of one, half dozen the other. But what I'm going to do is probably go ahead and modify the adapter, because if worse comes to worse, I can replace these relatively cheaply. Okay, before I install the adapters in here, I want to measure this bottom bracket shell. And so let me see, it's about 65 millimeters. The common width for these one-piece crank bottom bracket shells is either 68 millimeters or 65 millimeters. If the width is 68 millimeters, there's no problem. But if it's only 65 millimeters, now you have to do something, because most bottom brackets, modern bottom brackets are designed for like 68 millimeters or possibly 73. But so since it's only 65, when I install the adapters, I'm going to have to add some spacers to make up for that missing 3 millimeters. So when I install the bottom bracket into the adapters later, I'm going to add a 1.5 millimeter spacer on each side. Okay, so I have my adapters here, and they're all machined down here, so ready to go into the bottom bracket shell there. There's 2 different ones here. One of them is designed for the bolts to fit through, and the other one is threaded here to receive the bolts. The side here that's threaded is going to go into the drive side. So what I'm going to do is set this in here, and I need to drive this in. So what I'm going to do is I have it set here on some boards here, some 2x4s, and I'm going to use a piece of wood here, and I'm just going to like hit this really good with a hammer just to drive this in, and I want to make sure that it's driven in all the way, so this there's no space here between the rim and the shell. And that looks pretty good. Make sure it's in all the way there. And that looks good. There's no space in there. Okay, now I'm ready to install the non-drive side, and what I need to do is get this oriented around here so that the screw holes line up with the screw holes on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'll get one screw going through here, and I can see the screw hole on the other side, so kind of get this turned so that it's fitting in that hole over there. And then I'm going to start just kind of tighten this in just a little bit, kind of get that screw just kind of started a little bit, like this. And then I'll get the next one going here, since now that one's lined up. The other one here, the other one should be maybe pretty close to lined up. And get them started. And then I'm going to snug up these screws here, just so that they're snug. I'm not going to tighten them much at this point yet. Just kind of snug them up so I just take all the slack out of there. And then unlike the other side where I used a hammer to drive this adapter on, I'm going to use the screws to actually drive this adapter on. I want it to go on as straight as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take turns tightening these screws just a little bit each one, and then so maybe like a half a turn here, go to the next one, half a turn there, go to the next one here, maybe a little bit of turn, try to get it nice and straight in there, and just turn each one just a little bit so that I'm slowly tightening the adapter in, and it's going in nice and straight. And I'm going to tighten these until there's no gap here between the adapter and the shell. And then also these screws, as you go to tighten them, you'll feel that they actually become tight and they just won't turn anymore without applying a bunch of torque. So at that point, you know you're done. It's as far as it's going to go. Okay, now once you have this adapter installed, you have a wide array of choices of what kind of bottom brackets you can install. Pretty much anything that'll fit into an English threaded bottom bracket. I'm going to be using a square taper cartridge type bottom bracket. And so what I want to do is I want to put like a little bit of grease here on the threads. And so whatever kind of bottom bracket you use, the installation is going to vary. But so I'm going to just grease these up a little bit. And since again I had to make up with that missing 3 millimeters there, I have a 1.5 millimeter spacer here. So I'm going to slide this on right there like this. And so I'm going to put this in, and it should be left hand threaded, so I can turn this counterclockwise, and I want to make sure that I get it in there nice and straight. It should turn in smoothly. I want to be careful not to cross thread it or anything like that. And there we go, turning it nice and smoothly. And then I'm going to get my wrench in here with my, and this is a tool designed specifically for this kind of bottom bracket. And tighten this on here. And I want to get this nice and tight here. Like that. So now I'm ready to install the non-drive side part here. This is plastic, so I'm not going to use grease on there. If it was metal, then I would use a little bit of grease on the threads here. And again, I'm going to use a 1.5 millimeter spacer to make up for this part of the missing 3 millimeters. And then I use the tool here, just kind of hand thread this in and get it started in by hand. And it should go in smoothly. I don't want to force it. I don't want to cross thread it. And get this in here till it hits the bottom there, and then I'll use my ratchet wrench and tighten this. And I don't need to just totally torque this side. It's plastic and I don't want to like strip it out. So like that. So I got this side done. Okay, I mounted some new cranks on here, and I'm basically done, other than any other updates I want to do, derailleur, chain, stuff like that. But I think it looks pretty good. Anyway, that is how to replace a one-piece crank setup with a modern three-piece type crank setup. And again, your choices in bottom brackets are open. You can use whatever will fit in one of these English threaded bottom brackets. Anyway, I hope you found this useful or interesting. If you did, please click like on my video. I always appreciate getting likes on my videos. It helps me out. If you're not subscribed to my channel, click the big subscribe button. You'll see new videos, and I'm always coming out with new videos. And I'm also over on Facebook, RJ the Bike Guy. Go over there, like my page. I post a lot of stuff over there as well. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.